That's some good shit right there. Oh man, oh man, oh man. I need some help to get through this one. Lots of help. What happened this week in wrestling was so horrifically bad, I can't believe it actually happened. Like, I'm sitting here drinking beer, laughing over the absurdity of what took place. And I can't believe that both WWE and TNA actually did this. But here we go. Royal Rumble. Alberto Del Rio wins the Rumble, which I guess I was wrong. He wasn't a red herring. I think if you look back in the Rumble's history, specifically when they started doing the Mania title shot rule, he's got to be the weakest winner ever. But they have until Mania to get him ready and make this match with Edge worth something. So I won't bash that too much. It's like, alright, you gave the guy a win, now you got to build him up. What I will bash them for is having so much comedy in the damn match. The whole bit with Hornswoggle, really, we're still trying to pump life into this leprechaun character? And Santino comes down to the final two? That's who Alberto has to go through to win the Rumble. Not Cena, not Orton. Santino Marella. Why is Santino Marella put in such a big position within the company? To me, this is like putting Coco Beware or Bushwhacker Luke in a big spot. He's a one-dimensional comedy character who I don't think is that funny. He used to be funny, but, you know, WWE writers, or I don't know if it's even the writers' fault. It's probably just Vince being a nut. But, you know, they keep putting him in this, like, big position. He's a title holder. Why? But it just shows where Vince McMahon's brain trust lies. And if he thinks it's funny, quote unquote, if he thinks it's funny, it's going to make it on the TV, and he's going to affect his product with it. So your Royal Rumble, what I compared to being WWE's equivalent to the playoffs, was turned into a joke. Isn't that nice? And then we get Raw this week. And I cannot believe this sentence is about to come out of my mouth. Jerry Lawler, a 61-year-old announcer, who's been a comedy character for the better part of 17 years, which is how long he's been with the WWE, is now the number 1 contender for the WWE title. Let me repeat that. A 61-year-old announcer. I can't stress that enough. An announcer in his 60s is now the number 1 contender for the World Heavyweight title. How on earth does WWE expect me or any self-respecting person of average intelligence to take this shit seriously? You mean to tell me that a guy like Jerry Lawler, who's not in good shape, has bad knees, can't go anymore, you mean to tell me that he's a match with somebody like Miz, or Sheamus, or Morrison, or Cena, or Orton, or guys like that? You honestly expect me to believe that he can hang with those guys? And that's the problem with wrestling right now. There is zero believability in the way the show is presented. If you book a guy like Jerry Lawler to be... Apparently he's one of the best in the company. He can beat everybody up and he wins all the time. So, I mean, he's... Over the last few months, he has to have one of the best win-loss records in the company, right? It's unbelievable. And, oh, better yet, this is going to be on pay-per-view. They expect us to pay for this. Which, no, I'm not going to do. I'm not ordering this pay-per-view just based on principle. So, yeah, that's another one I'm skipping out on. Fuck you. I'm just amazed that they think they can get away with this. That they actually think that they can present this when in 96, 97, 98, they would have never dared done anything this stupid. They couldn't because they had WCW breathing down their necks or surpassing them in the ratings. They would have never dared done anything this ridiculously stupid. But now that they've got nobody challenging them, I guess they feel like they can do whatever the hell they want. my buddy Eric pointed out, and he made a great point. Didn't the WWF make fun of WCW for having guys like Hogan, Piper, and Savage in main event spots in the mid to late 90s? And now they have a guy in a main event spot who's older than they were back then. Kind of hypocritical. Just saying. It's just horrible. And the scary thing is, this was the plan. They put so much time and energy into this feud between Miz and Lawler that, you know, the Miz-Morrison feud got shoved to the wayside because nobody wanted to see that. Nobody at all wanted to see that match. Or nobody was willing to, you know, get behind that rivalry. But yeah, they put, 3 months into this? 2 months? This was their plan. They planned this out, they'd given it time, and no one wanted it. Who in the hell thought, oh, when Miz wins the title, he's a feud with Jerry Lawler, that'll really put him over the top? No, because if Miz wins, he's just barely beating a 61-year-old man. It really doesn't help anybody. And, oh my God. It's awful. Just absolutely awful. And I don't know how anybody can defend this to me. I really don't. That they would even plan this and present it the way they have is just mind-bogglingly stupid. And what a great way to set up Miz for WrestleMania. Because it looks like he's going to win, you know, he's going to go into the title with Mania, which I guess I was wrong about that too. But you set him up, and his big roadblock heading into WrestleMania is Jerry Lawler. Hey, you know what? Super Bowl's this weekend. Let's have Terry Bradshaw leave the studio at, you know, the Fox studio or whatever, wherever they sit. Let's have him quarterback the Steelers this weekend. Because he's a legend and he deserves one last run. And he could totally lead the Steelers to a Super Bowl victory, huh? It's amazing to me. It's like WWE exists in this weird reality where it doesn't operate under the laws of reality. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing and It's mind-bogglingly stupid. It's so bad it's hilarious. Like, I honestly didn't think they were going to do this. But every time I say they're not that dumb, they do it. Which is why I'm not going to say they're not dumb enough to put the belt on Lawler. Because every time I say that, they manage to surpass my low expectations. Or they sink beneath my expectations, I should say. But yeah, TNA, I'm going to tear you all a new asshole. So the new they, is Fortune. AJ Styles, Kazarian, and Beer Money, which, nothing against those talents. They're great talents, but it's a stupid twist that makes no sense, which, if you know Russo, he loves those. Because we didn't see it coming, so it's a shock, and it's a good twist. Yeah, well, you know, twists are fine as long as they make sense. This doesn't make any sense, especially if you've been watching the television for the last few months or so. But the reason they had to do this was because they couldn't get the Main Event Mafia, because Nash and Booker showed up in the WWE, and by all, you know, it's not confirmed yet, but apparently Sting is signed with the WWE. I don't know. I guess we'll find out when, you know, we get something more concrete. But they couldn't get those guys, so they couldn't do a Main Event Mafia return, which was what was the original plan. Now, my major criticism here, why is the Main Event Mafia plan A to begin with? Who the hell wanted a Main Event Mafia return? Why would TNA put themselves in a position where they have to depend on guys like Nash, Booker, and Sting to be in their main event storyline? What? Oh, Jesus. Hey, down the hatch. Why are we depending on 40 and 50-year-olds to take our product in a new direction? It makes no sense. And the Main Event Mafia, people were sick of it when it died the first time. Nobody wanted this. Unbelievable. It is just unbelievable. The stupidity that WWE and TNA constantly sink to over and over again, and it keeps getting worse. It's so laughably bad. It keeps getting worse. I can't believe this. It's sad, too, because there's no silver lining. There's nothing to look forward to. There's nothing... Very little positives I can say about both products. And most of the positives have to do is like, well, the talents are good. They've got good rosters, and that's it. And it's getting to a point where we're probably at that point now where really the only reason anybody watches is for cool moves. Hey, that guy did a backflip. That looked cool. Hey, that 450 splash looked pretty cool. That's the only reason. And we're really at that point because wins and losses don't matter anymore, you know? The storylines suck. I mean, fuck. Okay. I'm not that smart, and right now, I'm getting kind of drunk. Give the book to me right now. I guarantee you, in my drunken state, I can't do any worse than this. And like I said, I'm not that smart, but I wouldn't do anything this stupid. I mean, how do ideas like the Main Event Mafia coming back and Jerry Lawler being in the world title match on a pay-per-view, how did those ideas get past the planning stages? Those are ideas that should be shot down immediately. But it is what it is, I guess. It is sad. It really is sad that the leaders of wrestling, WWE and TNA, are run by morons. There's no other way to say it. They're run by idiots who have absolutely no concept of how to run this business. The wrestling business is run like no other business. The amount of stupidity that fills it is just astounding. And, you know, people will justify it by saying, oh, well, this got a pop, and the crowd reacted well to that, and whatever. But, you know what? There's a much larger audience of potential television viewers that don't watch wrestling because they think it's stupid. And we're at a point now where this stupidity that just pollutes the airwaves from both companies is an expected norm. And people think that, they did something with a leprechaun? Well, that's professional wrestling. It's just that stupid. People have been educated to think that wrestling is stupid. And WWE and TNA have no one to blame but themselves for that. They just have absolutely no idea how to present their product in a way that's intelligently written, that's compelling television, that is anything like what wrestling used to be. Why can't it be like what it used to be? I'm not asking for, you know, something that'll set the world on fire. I'm not asking for another boom period. I'm just asking for an intelligently written show that I can sink my teeth into. And that's not happening. And right now, fuck WWE, your show sucks. Fuck TNA, your show sucks. And let's go on with the WrestleMania countdown. Wow, WrestleMania 23. This one was an odd one. I'm not going to say it was bad, but it was an incomplete card. I think that's the best way to sum it up. You had some big main events like Undertaker and Batista, Shawn and Cena, and I guess you could count Money in the Bank and the McMahon-Trump thing, but there wasn't really much of an undercard. Or many mid-card, undercard type matches that filled out the card and made it feel more complete. And one match I felt they should have done was Edge versus Orton, who had formed the tag team of Rated RKO earlier that year, and then eventually split over their own selfishness based on them wanting to get a world title shot. Not the greatest build-up in the world, but I felt like there was enough material there to make a pretty solid WrestleMania match. Because if you look at the undercard matches for the show, you had He Who Must Not Be Named versus MVP for the U.S. title, which was a very ordinary match, I thought. You had a Divas match, which sucked. You had Kane and Khali, that sucked. And you had ECW versus the New Breed, which it was based on the WWE's ECW, which, you know, by that point, it had been drained of any life it once had. And there really wasn't anything of substance beneath the more main event matches. And I felt like a strong upper mid-card feud would have really helped out the card. And I think the match to go with would have been Edge and Orton. And another problem that it created was for WrestleMania 24, when Edge faced Undertaker for the world title, Edge had lost at WrestleMania because both Edge and Orton were put into the Money in the Bank, which I didn't have a problem with them upping Money in the Bank to 8 guys, because to me it's just guys diving off of ladders, and it's going to be a spot fest, so who cares? Some people raised hell and said it was going to be a clusterfuck, but I'm like, look, it's a spot fest, who cares? And they've upped it to 10, hasn't made a difference, but I had a problem with these 2 guys being put into it, because Edge lost the Money in the Bank ladder match. Although, ironically, he ended up getting the title shot because the real winner, Anderson, got hurt. So he had to drop it, and he ended up dropping it to Edge, who cashed in and won. So maybe he just should have won the ladder match in the first place. But, like I said, it created a problem for next year's WrestleMania when Edge faced Undertaker for the world title. They could have built that match as undefeated versus undefeated. But then again, they couldn't do it because Edge lost the Money in the Bank the year before. And Edge had been undefeated in WrestleMania up to that point, which a lot of guys aren't anywhere near that. Cena's kind of close, but he lost at 24, which, again, that probably shouldn't have happened, just so they could do a future Undertaker-Cena match. But Edge and Undertaker at Mania 24 could have been billed as undefeated versus undefeated, and WWE didn't have the foresight to execute that. Which is unfortunate. And I think Edge and Orton would have been a really good match and would have really helped out this WrestleMania, which seemed to be lacking. Again, it wasn't a bad show, but it felt like an incomplete card. And Edge and Orton would have rounded out the card a little bit better and would have made it feel like a little bit meatier than it was. So, yeah, that's it for the week. The countdown will continue next week, so stay tuned for that.